setting new standards in podcast excellence. You have joined the WBT, fully focused on business and taxes. Here is your host, Michael Lodge.
And welcome to the WBT. This is Michael Lodge. I'm glad you've joined me. So the topic today is going to be mental health. I'll be right back.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
So my journey started about a week ago, last Friday. And I have been traveling, and I have been packing, and I have been unpacking, and I have been walking up and down stairs. And I've been driving a big old truck from Los Angeles to Palm Beach, from Palm Beach up to South Carolina, and then finally I am home, back into my home here in South Carolina. So during the course of the way, driving and bouncing around and trying to get the rhythm of that old truck, I was thinking about what exactly of value can we bring. And I was listening to a lot of talk radio on my way across country. And I heard the word racism, and I heard the word hate, and I heard the words of meanness, literal meanness. And then I thought, you know what? We have a lot of mental health issues within our culture. And then I began thinking back about the experiences that I have had in mental health, the people that I have come in contact. Now, mental health doesn't mean that you're crazy or you're nuts or you're way out there. What it means is that maybe an instant or a circumstance made you click, and all of a sudden you have stress and you have mental health stress, and you're not quite sure who to talk to or how to deal with it. And sometimes we let these mental health issues go too far, and we have conflict. As a mediator, I deal with conflict every single day. In some form or fashion, I'm dealing with conflict. Either conflict in family issues, conflict in divorce, conflict in business, conflict in work-related issues, which happens so much now. But we have conflict derived from mental health stress. And so over the next few days, we are going to talk about mental health and how you and I can do better at helping ourselves and also our co-workers, our family members, in dealing with this stress, dealing with mental health. And I think the biggest problem is that we're not taking enough time for ourselves. We are rushing around doing stuff for other people all the time. And it seems as though that I remember when I was a child, I don't remember life being this hectic for my parents. But for us, we are, especially in California, where it's so expensive to live, you're trying to hustle every single day to keep abreast or keep ahead of the expenses that are coming your way. So you try to do your hardest, but you get so stressed out. You get so emotionally unfit at sometimes. So I think that I want all of you to go to, it's called, there's a website that the British are doing and the royal family is involved in. And I go to it a lot to deal with mental health issues and to listen to stories and to hear about what is happening. And it's called www.headstogether.org.uk. I think it's probably one of the best programs out there that is dealing with mental health issues within the workplace or within organizations. And I think that if we don't start talking more about mental health and doing more about it, we're going to have conflicts that escalate into greater harm. So I think that you and I, because I think you and I are pretty good human beings. We try to do our best, right? We try to do what is right and we stay away from that is what is wrong. Why was that so hard to come out? Probably no coffee. I'm blaming it on no coffee as of this time in the morning. Is that a mental health issue because I didn't get coffee? It might be, huh? But you and I, we need to talk more about mental health issues because it's all around us. It surrounds us in some manner or in some manner. So, over the next 4 days, I'm going to tell you 3 stories, maybe 4 stories, about how mental health has touched my life through somebody else. Now, I am not perfect. There are days where I have some really bang-up mental health days. I am human. We all are human, and we have those days. The issue is, how do we deal with it? And how do we deal with other people who are having the exact same problem? So, you and I, we're going to go over how we can bring together people within our workplaces, people within stores, on the plane, wherever it may be, where people are having a mental health day, problem day, and sometimes all that they need to do is just talk. You would be surprised how individuals get so stressed out that they enter into conflict that does damage to other people. Gosh, I used to work in a hospital a long time ago. I was a consultant to a major hospital in Los Angeles. And you would be surprised how many conflicts that they had on a daily basis. That some resulted into physical touching. And not in a good way. But where they got into altercations, struck out at other people. And some of it has even grown to even worse cases where people were even killed. I was in an experience like that. It's so sad because even if you look at the postal service, now that's a stressful job. And because it's such a stressful job, and because it becomes a mental health issue, that we have a new term that when people get mad at an office, people will blurt out, "Oh my gosh, they've gone postal." Well, that's because mental health was not looked at or talked about prior to that individual doing great harm. They snapped. They couldn't take it any longer. And severe conflict erupted. So you and I, we need to talk about this even more. So we're going to do it over the next 4 days, I'm sorry. And we are going to talk about how it affects you, how it affects me, and how we can do better at it. So 3 story days, and then the 4th day will be the day that we look back and we come to maybe a rhythm pattern of how we can do our jobs better as human beings and working on mental health with people that surround us. So we're going to come to some conclusions, and well, maybe not even conclusions. We're going to come to some means and ways to handle this. I should never use the word conclusion, because conclusion means you're going to end it. Unfortunately, we as human beings, we will never end the issue of mental health. We just won't. Some of us deal with mental health and stress and frustrations better than other people, and other people take it too far. So you and I, we're going to take some time over this week, and we're going to talk about mental health. Now, I'm not a psychologist, but I've been touched by conflict. And I have been touched by people who I have thought greatly about and see them completely change. So, I want you and I to really think about what's going on. Listen to the stories that I will be telling over the next 4 days. And then you think also, how can you do better? Again, I encourage you to go to headstogether.org.uk and read some of their stories. It's funny that they may be way over in the UK, but you know what? They have the same mental health issues that we have here in the United States. It happens all around the world, no matter where you're at. I remember one time, this is kind of amusing because it could have developed into something worse, but luckily I kept my head about me, and I took it on as a mini project for a few minutes of my life in a taxi cab. So one day, a long time ago, I had a call center in the Philippines, and I spent a lot of time in the Philippines, hiring staff, working on technology, etc., etc., etc. There's a lot that goes into a call center, and I tell you, it wore me out, almost as bad as moving. But it's a constant thing that you're always dealing with, because a call center is operational 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because of the different time zones throughout the world, and you might be Monday here, but it might be Tuesday in another country. So you're always working. So one day, I was leaving my condo. This is how funny how mental health touches you no matter where you're at. I was in my condo, and I was waiting for the taxi cab. Finally, the taxi cab showed up. Now, if you know taxi cabs in the Philippines, there are these little white Corollas that some of them are on their last legs. Some of them are in really bad shape. There are cockroaches in some of these taxi cabs. So I got in the taxi cab, and the taxi driver got in also. He was outside standing. And so we began driving. I told him where I needed to go to, and we would start to drive. And we were talking. And then all of a sudden he said, "Sir, can I tell you something?" I said, "Sure, go ahead, tell me." And I've told you this so many times before in my podcast that if I will sit down and I will talk with anybody, and I will talk about any issue. So evidently I looked like a priest, and he felt that he could confess to me. So he said this, "Sir, while I'm driving my taxi cab, I hear voices." And I thought, oh my gosh. I said, "How long have you been in a taxi cab?" And he goes, "This is my first day." "On your first day, you're hearing voices?" He says, "Sir, I always hear voices. They're talking to me." So I said, "Well, listen. Are you hearing other people's voices, or are you hearing your voices?" He goes, "Well, it's my voice, but it's talking to me." I said, "Did you ever think that perhaps that you need to sit down and talk to someone about this issue? I mean, I talk to myself too. I do it all the time. I'll be walking along and I'm talking about things and I'm planning things and I blurt stuff out. But I don't literally say, hey, Mike, how's it going? Well, Mike, here, having a bad day. Well, Mike, how come? I don't talk to myself that way. But this individual had a problem. If you know anything about the Philippines, it's a very stressful life because you are literally surviving every single day. Every peso counts. Every peso counts because they need to eat or they need to provide for their family. There are so many people living under bridges and setting up homes and living in squatters camps, and a lot of them are taxi drivers. So they have this mental health issue of trying to provide and it becomes very stressful. And at some point in time, some of them do crack. Some of them something snaps in them and they begin hearing these voices. So we talked it through because we had 30 minutes from my condo to the office. So we talked about what had been happening in his life, what had touched him, what was going on. So even in a taxi cab, at any part of the world, there is a mental health issue happening. So it's amazing, isn't it, that no matter where we're at, someone is in need to talk. After we got to my office building, there in Makati, I said, how do you feel now? He said, sir, you know what, I feel much better because I have had no one to talk to. So I told him, find someone that you can trust, that you can talk to. Find someone that you do not have a problem with spilling the beans and talking to someone. Even if you have to find your priest, talk to your priest. Even if you have to talk to your supervisor, talk to your supervisor. But find someone to talk to, because the more you talk, the less the stress level becomes. But find someone that you can trust. So I gave him my business card. I said, I want you to email me and tell me how it's going. And he did. About 6 months later, I think, he emailed me and he gave me a thanks. And he said things are going much better. He's not hearing voices. He went to the doctor. They gave him medication. And they got him onto the right path. And he has someone that he can talk to. And I said, keep it up. Keep the communication going. Because the more that you talk, the better it becomes. Communication is the key to everything. So join me over the next 4 days as we talk about mental health. Mental health is not talked about enough in this country. And we need to start doing a better job. The government's not going to do it for you. So don't even think the U.S. Congress or the Senate or the President is going to do anything to help you. It's up to us as human beings, to help each other. I will talk with you soon. If you have any questions, send me a text to 818-252-5682. That's 818-252-5682. And let me know what your thoughts are. If you have any questions, concerns, text me. I will talk with you soon. This is Mike Lodge for the WBT.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
This podcast is produced and content driven.